Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
And there you have it once again. Unfortunately, not very many happy campers as of tonight after this outcome. We'll be lying to ourselves if many people would say that they did not see this coming. I was definitely one of the people who was giving this team the benefit of the doubt that they would not be one and done. But here we are once again. Right now, Steelers are out of the playoffs under Mike Tomlin on their first attempt for the fifth time in his career, and he now drops to 500 at 8-8 lifetime in the playoffs as head coach of the Steelers. Mike Tomlin does his all-time playoff record. He is now 8-8. Kind of reminded you of the Jacksonville Jaguars loss from 3 years ago right here. Definitely not a pretty sight right there. Definitely would love to see this game be a lot more closer if Ben Roethlisberger was able to take care of the ball. 4 costly interceptions, which was really backbreakers in this game. He however, does throw for a career high in 501 passing yards, but still an ugly, abysmal 4 touchdowns to interception ratio. And from a guy who's been taking care of the ball, I mean, up until the Jaguars game, I mean, the last 6 games down the stretch threw 6 picks. I mean, you saw a guy right here, I mean, who has 10 interceptions for the year, 33 touchdowns and 10 interceptions for the season, and just really disappointing, too. I mean, how much does that really be blame lack of a run game and because of the O-line not helping out the run game here? It's just really some sad stuff right here. First and foremost, before we go any further, I must congratulate the Cleveland Browns. All seriousness, I think everybody needs to tip their cap and realize, and not the same old Browns. Juju Smith-Schuster, sorry. Got to watch what you're saying. Been firing up some people. I'm not going to say with the logo dancing, but you cannot be saying the same old Browns. I really believe he adds some fire to them to really open up a can of whoop ass. Excuse my language, but that is the truth of the matter tonight when you really look at this. An abysmal loss here, but still at the end of the day, too, the Steelers do manage to put up 37 points, but in the high 40s once again, just something's not right here. And I got to tell you right now, Mike Tomlin right now, he's going to have to be looking hard decisions in the offseason. And it's going to really be interesting right now if they're going to even dare make that move where they decide to move on from Randy Fichtner or maybe both him and Keith Butler. I think Keith Butler did a phenomenal job with the defense all year, but the disturbing trend is when you truly look at this and you look at where they've been at, I mean, in the playoffs, I mean, think about this. In 2017, they gave up 45 points to the Jaguars, and now tonight, 48 points. That's just not good football, and they cannot get to the quarterback once again. 2 straight games dating back to that Jaguars loss, they cannot sack the quarterback. I found that very alarming right there. The Browns, at least to their credit, had 1 quarterback hit, but no sacks. Both offensive lines came to play as far as protecting the quarterback. And I got to tell you, there was some stuff watching this game. I really thought James Conner had some nice little flash tonight. He was definitely running with some effort. But the problem is, too, I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, this running game, you only get like 11 carries. In fairness to Conner, you need to feed this guy a lot more. He averaged 3.4 yards per carry. And he's caught 30 yards receiving. So this guy right here, 67 yards, I mean, with a touchdown in this game, I don't know. I really feel like the backbreaker earlier in this game, too, when you really dig deep at this, remember, I mean, when they were down 28-zip, I mean, trying to keep this a game earlier on, you do see this team earlier in the game where the mindset was thinking if you could just somehow find a way to slice that lead in half and have them cut it to a 14-point game. They do score a touchdown, I think, with a little over 3 minutes left to go, but what ends up happening, you give a touchdown right back, put you back up by 28 points to Browns, and then later on, I mean, I just felt like there was just so much valuable time off the clock, and they settled for a field goal at the end of the half to be down by 25 points. The sickening thing is when you break down this game, time of possession was not much of an issue in this game, and that's mainly due to the Steelers giving the Browns a lot of short field opportunities. As a result, the Browns did go 3 for 5 in the red zone. Steelers were a perfect 4 for 4. Also, when you look at it too, I mean, the Steelers' third down efficiency, which I really felt was killer in this game, 6 for 14 for 44%, while the Browns converted over 53%, 8 for 15 on the day. You got to keep them off the ground because I think the second half, when you really look at it too, I mean, they outscored the Browns 27-13. The killer in this game was the running game, as you saw right there, was with guys with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt right there, just able to impose their will. I thought the Browns did an excellent job blocking all around, creating lanes for their backs to make plays, and you really got to hand it to them. You really have to hand it to them. It reminds me so much of the Washington football team, the way they blocked around guys like Alex Smith and their players on offense under head coach Ron Rivera. But at the end of the day, once again, Mike Tomlin and his Steelers go one and done for a fifth time in his coach career. A sad, disastrous end to way end the season. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. You can also check me out for the Men of Steel podcast on Twitter at Men of Steel CGR, at Men of Steel Nation on Instagram. Definitely a very upsetting, aggravating loss right here. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's what I was just saying right there, Fernando. I mean, that was definitely stopping third downs. 53% where they went 8 of 15 right there. And I really feel like in the second half, especially in that stretch, man, well, and by the way, too, the turnovers, too, it was 5 total turnovers, which came courtesy of 4 interceptions by Ben Roethlisberger. And plus, Marquise Pouncey, don't forget, the opening snap of the game, almost reminiscent of Super Bowl 48 when Peyton Manning played the Seahawks. That's pretty much how that game started out right off the gate right there. You have a bad snap that gets recovered by the Browns in the end zone. It was just a bad omen to start the game. It really was. You just cannot do that stuff right there. The Browns were just ready. I mean, you look at a team who has been in the playoffs in over 18 years, and you see what happens right there. They came in here with an attitude. Good for them. I mean, seriously, covering this team and being a Steeler fan myself, which I'll always be, but Cleveland Browns, I mean, there's a saying I learned from Scott Hall, former wrestler, a.k.a. Razor Ramon, who once said a long time ago, it goes like this. Bad times, hard work pays off. Dreams do come true. Bad guys don't last, but bad guys do. And that's the bottom line right there. Congratulations to the Browns right there for getting their first playoff victory in their franchise history. That was back in 1995 in the 1994 season, the 75th year anniversary of the Browns, which is the Browns' 49th year right there. And the irony in that was that Bill Belichick beat his former mentor, Bill Parcells, who was the head coach of the New England Patriots at that time. He was in the second year as a Patriots head coach. They would go lose to the Steelers in the divisional round in that game, lose ugly. It almost had the Steelers back in 2002, but the Steelers were able to make a massive comeback in that game. Also, the Browns only to go on to lose to the Titans right now. So there you are once again, dashed out the window, unfortunately, for a very disappointing end right here. I'm sure that a lot of people are looking at like question marks right now, hearing the news of like possibly, and I was kind of like a little dismissive, I will admit, a few days ago, when hearing the possibility of Deshaun Watson asking for asking for a trade out of Houston. Seems to be some frustration right there. It's like where he may want to be out. And you do have Pittsburgh as a possible
turns, play action
destination
fake, back to pass.
here.
Now he's looking right. Now he dumps
when
it
you
over the
look at
middle.
it
It's
right
picked
there,
off. MJ Stewart's got it, and he brings it down to the Pittsburgh 46-yard line. Another turnover by the Steelers.
I will
as
say
MJ
this.
Stewart
For right
ends
now,
up with his second interception in as many
this game
games.
was,
Takes the snap.
I do feel a lot better in the fact that,
Tip, and
you know what, you were able to put some points in the
It's
second half.
The
It was
Browns
urgency time.
does it again.
Big Ben once again high with his throw.
You have to just wonder right now if Ben Roethlisberger would have done a better job.
Talk about a short field now. What a return by Redwine.
This could have been a completely different ball game.
Third
I
down
had
and a
going
yard
into
and a
this
half.
game
Back throws
right
the ball
now in this contest. The Steelers win by at least double digits. Should the Steelers have won this game and took care of business.
And the Browns will have it at their own 47-yard line.
Props
with
Mike Tomlin to a career record in the postseason.
In the first half, unbelievable. They were in a passing formation on third down and a yard and a half.
When you look at it, look at this past decade, what he's been able to do in the postseason. His last point at the 30, at the 2011, basically the last 10 years, what has happened, to this team, when we truly look at it, he is to 3-6 since going to the Super Bowl, 3-6. In that time, in that span,
when being a fan on a budget gets tough, our agents do the legwork, so saving on auto insurance is easy.
2011 on the road against the Broncos,
we're made
2014 at home against the Ravens, 2017 at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now tonight against the Browns. If you guys want to leave me your questions or your thoughts further about the game, I'm welcome to hear it. I know it's going to be a long off season right now, but I got to tell you right now, I'm really starting to have some concern right now if TJ Watt is going to be able to hold on to Defensive Player of the Year award. And the reason why I say that, I was actually talking to a friend of mine earlier in the day, because I will say this. With Aaron Donald still playing with the Rams, they're going on to the next round of the playoffs. They got to go and take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers due to the Saints' dismantling of the Bears today, which, by the way, who scored 9 points, but still had a good defensive effort in that game. I think they lost that game 28-9. But here's the thing right now. That they're number one in total defense going into this postseason. You saw what they did to a guy like Russell Wilson, harassing him the way they did yesterday afternoon against the Seahawks. And that was Russell Wilson's first loss at home at CenturyLink Field, which never happened to him before in the postseason. Got his first loss finally right there. There's a difference right there when you see the creativity and just game tackling and takeaways. And definitely agree. Right now in the first quarter, they could not tackle. They looked like a skeleton crew out there the way they were playing. Let's be honest. It does not help when you finally start getting points on the board to under 5, close to the 3-minute mark in the first half. That was just never a good remedy for success. That was just more of a remedy for disaster. So instead, right now, like I said, you also look at a guy like Ben Roethlisberger too. So, which, by the way, the last playoff game these two teams played was back in 2002. And don't forget, in that contest, when they played that Browns team, the most the Steelers were down by were 17 points, which was in the third quarter. They were rallied back in that contest, and the Steelers were able to outscore the Browns in that second half, 29-9. They're able to win that game 36-33, and eventually they would go lose to the Titans right there. So, again, heartbreaking loss, no doubt about it. But right now, I mean, there are some question marks right now. Mike Tomlin, when asked after the press conference, according to Dale Lally of Pittsburgh, DK Pittsburgh Sports, when asked if he thinks Ben Roethlisberger could still play, 2 words for Mike Tomlin: I do. I don't blame him right now. The only thing is right now, when you got a guy who's going to be like captain this team next year, if you're going to keep this guy, you're going to have to extend him. I know that's one of the last things people want to hear is about keeping Ben Roethlisberger around for a few more years, but you are going to be, as a team, inheriting a $41.25 million cap hit. I mean, yes, the guy threw for over 500 yards. A lot of it due to the lack of trust in the run game. You cannot do that. You have to wisen up. You have to be a lot more better than that. I really do like the rhythm of the offense in the second half of this game. I really felt like they were starting to click a lot more. But the killer stuff in that game was when they just folded right there. I mean, you're still giving up 12 points. 12 points. I mean, 13 points in that quarter. You cannot do that there. I mean, just basically. I mean, for what they're able to, pull out, in this contest right there, really pull their heads out of their butts in that contest right there. I mean, you had the one touchdown to Nick Chubb for 40 yards, which was a pass short to the middle right there, which made the game right there at that point 42-23, and then the final touchdown score scored by the Browns later on in that game was a field goal, and they had a pair of field goals actually later on where they won 45-29 and then 48-29 back with under 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. So give them credit. Both offensive lines came to play. Quarterback protection, yes. But again, no running game. You really got to start to feel right now, here are some of the question marks we got to be facing right now. So here's the thing right now. Keep in mind, I was reading, according to Pro Football Talk, this was covered about beginning of December, in case anyone was wondering. So remember, overthecap.com is projecting the salary cap to drop no more than $175 million. And I think it was supposed to be for the original $208 million. It was supposed to be up in 2021. Okay? So, from $210 million, excuse me. Right now, it's still a possibility because here's the thing which might save the Steelers right now, in case everyone's wondering about their future. Because remember, they're right now, if that stands at $175 million, over $21.7 million in over the cap. They're going to have to clear up a hell of a lot of money right there to even try and keep some valuable guys right there. TJ Watt, more likely he's going to be demanding more money right there. Should get Defensive Player of the Year, but again, I could see Aaron Donald possibly stealing that award from him for some reason. I could see him getting it a record third time, and he'd be the third person in NFL history to win it for a third time, joining the likes of Hall of Famer and two-time Super Bowl champion Lawrence Taylor and current defensive tackle, I think it's defensive tackle for the Houston Texans, J.J. Watt, the brother of T.J. right here. But you got to look at that right there. Definitely another questionable signing going into this year. How in the world do you pay a guy like I mean, Derek Watt. I mean, he's literally done nothing. I mean, for this team, this year. It was a waste of signing right here. I thought he was supposed to be the replaceable guy.
Start planning at DisneyWorld.com.
Give his name.
Falls the signals, turns, play action fake, back to pass. Now he's looking right. Now he dumps it over the middle.
Very disappointing sign right now. Defensive end, excuse me.
And he brings it down to the Pittsburgh 46-yard line.
You gotta look at it right there, Watt right there, which is very disappointing right here. Remember, they signed this guy right now. I mean, just recently back in 2020. I mean, to a 3-year contract. 3-year contract deal
once
here.
Again, high with his throw.
And this guy going into next year, he's going to be accounted for.
Talk about a short field now. What a return by Redwine after he intercepted the ball. Third down and a yard and a half. Back
nearly
throws,
$2.1 million.
and it is
So this is the guy right here you have to really think about. I think he got like nearly about $10 million. I'm not too sure. Oh, the contract value, excuse me.
Christmas in January.
And the Browns will have it at their own 47-yard line with 10-11 left to go in the first half. Unbelievable. They were in a passing
formation. So I think he's definitely got to go. I mean, that's one guy you cannot have on this roster if you're going to try and work the salary cap. Now, remember,
throws it over the middle, picked off.
Going back to my point, pro football.
At the 40, at the 30, at the 25-yard line.
The owners and executives have a heart-to-heart talk. Their next annual owners meeting, which will be coming up. They'll be having discussions on, I mean, whether if like the cap, I mean, will drop to like maybe $195 million as opposed to $175 million. Granted the fact that maybe 2021 things will go back to the normal with fans in the attendance. Now keep in mind that could be a huge $20 million
they had a little too. Kareem does a
swing
couple
in the
push-ups.
Steelers' favor. So you'd probably be around like somewhere between $1-3 million over the cap. So which would be a lot better than over $21 million in cap. I can't say that enough. Definitely do feel like tonight his contest was really hurt the Steelers too. Not having Joe Hayden out there tonight, who could not go against his former team. He was on the reserve COVID list right here. I mean, other than that, I think a real questionable decision too. No Josh Dobbs. Why was he not out there? I mean, this guy was doing magnificent with Mason Rudolph in the finale in Cleveland. I felt very confident in that final game, was hoping that you were going to see more of a determined effort. I really had a ton of confidence in that pass rush. 4 sacks from their bench, and they get shut out in this game. Shut out. It almost seems like when you look back at the Steelers season right now, you know what? And I'll tell you what, Fernando, I disagree with the Juju signing. I'm not sure if if they should be sticking around. Juju, I think he has to move on from right now. And Deshaun Watson, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm not sure if that's realistic right now. I mean, if you got Mike Tomlin going to bat for this guy, no offense, they're going to extend him. He's going to stay around. He's going to have to restructure his contract by extending, because either that, you're going to have to answer to $41.25 million in a cap hit, or if they do decide to cut him prior to June 1st, you're saving $19 million, which would bring your dead money in cap savings to $22.25 million. So you got some thinking to do right there in that terms right there. So do you take that risk? Do you bite the bullet for that being a part of your dead cap for 2021? I'm not sure about that. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of people will definitely argue right now, this is definitely one of Ben's sloppy games. The accuracy, as we all could tell right here. But at the end of the day, too, when you're still able to put up for that many yards and throw as many times you did, still impressive yards, but the picks, horrible. You cannot win many games by constantly putting it on yourself. That's the thing we got to learn to live and reckon with right now. And kudos and props to Arthur Moats right there. I want to just applaud. If you, I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to check out his YouTube channel, Arthur Moats Experience, or just Arthur Moats in general. Just look him up. Does some live streams right there. Doing a phenomenal job interacting with the fans. I will say that. Right now, this is coming from Dale Lally from Ben Roethlisberger. He also said, like in his post-game press conference, he hopes the Steelers still want him back next year. Say he still has 1 year left on his contract, but those discussions will have to take place for the meanwhile when we look at. Also, too, is quoted by Missy Matthews going into this game, the Steelers right now. 8-5 record going into this game when hosting games at Heinz Field. Unfortunately, that now drops to 8-6 lifetime. And by the way, the Browns right now exercise some huge demons, huge. In over 17 years following winning a game in Heinz Field, which they'd never done in the regular season since last time on Sunday Night Football in 2003 during the regular season right there. And what you saw the Steelers right there was their last losing record, by the way, where they dropped to 6-10 year before they got Ben Roethlisberger. So I don't know, what's your guys' feel right now? I want honest answers. Leave me some comments right now. I already hear Fernando. We already know how he feels about wanting to try and get a mobile quarterback to Deshaun Watson. But what's the rest of your gut feeling tells you right now? Would you want to take the chance with Ben Roethlisberger coming back for another year? Are you still open to that? Are you willing to extend him? And then at some point, maybe like a year or two later, he starts transitioning to a mentor and a backup to train the next quarterback. Because you got to think of it right now. Here's the thing. He's going to be 39 years old this March coming up right now. I mean, still off a throwing elbow. And when you look at what he's done, I mean, this year still, I mean, very impressive year. Passed for 3,803 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions right here. And, I mean, really right now, I mean, when you truly look at it for the time being here, who has his sixth best completion percentage at 65.6. His career high was back in 2015, completing 68% of his passes. So real quickly, aside from the Steelers game, what playoff game stood out for you the most? Now that we got the wild card games in the book, which team looked impressive you most? I'm gonna go ahead and say right here, right now, I'm gonna admit, I'm still gonna put the Rams first. I liked what I saw, what they did against the Seahawks. Defensively, I still gotta give that to them over the Browns. The Browns played a phenomenal game, kicked a lot, but at the same time too, when I saw what they did to Russell Wilson, which is not an easy and a dubious task, to do that to him in Seattle right there. Granted, no fan attendance hardly, but that is still impressive stuff right there. And then even with Jared Goff having to play for some pain right there, I mean, with a thumb injury, he was not going to be the starting quarterback. That was still a surprise decision. He actually came off the bench in that game. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Rams, number one, followed by the Ravens, too. Congratulations to Lamar Jackson. Big shout-out right there. He wins his first ever postseason game. He now goes 1-2 in the playoffs. And also, too, a guy who was 0-6 going into this game, whenever him and his team was trailing by 10 points or more. I mean, you look at that Ravens team the rest of the way. I mean, they were able to outscore the Titans 20-3 the rest of the way in that contest right there. 10-3 in the second half. You guys saw the pick by Marcus Peters right there of the Ravens, and saw the Ravens return the favor back to the Tennessee Titans, do like the little stomp on their logo, what the Titans did to the Ravens logo pregame a couple months ago. So I thought that was a real good game right there. I got to give I'm going to go with the Rams, followed by the Ravens. Then I'm going to go I'll give it to the Browns, number 3. They're third on this list, followed by the Bucks. And then I will go. So let me just start over. So give me the Rams at number 1, who had the top performance of this game, just scoring 30 points and just harassing Russell Wilson the way they did. That's my top game of this weekend. Number 2 in this contest, give me the New Orleans Saints do a real number on the Bears. Eventually, just wore them down offensively. I thought the Bears defense was doing a good job in the first half, but they started to wear it down towards the end of the third, going to the fourth quarter right there. Saw them win that game 28-9. Third best game of this wild card. Give me the Ravens over the Titans, defeating them 20-13 right there, holding the Titans to 3 points in the second half, outscoring them 20-3 the rest of the way to win that game 20-13. Give me the Browns tonight. Huge upset over the Steelers right here. A lot of people were expecting one and done. Not so much I. And then I would have to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Washington football team, which I believe put around 30 points, I want to say. Last night, I think Brady, I want to say, threw for 2-3 touchdowns in that game. And then last but not least, the Bills right there over the Colts. I was not too impressed with the Buffalo Bills. And to be honest with you, even if the Steelers were to pull off this miraculous comeback that they had any hope for, which was slammed shut, courtesy of Nick Chubb right there. I mean, mainly, I was not convinced enough to see how they would have done against the Bills in the divisional round. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of the people right here who was scratching my head. I just did not see that happening. So let's go ahead, 30 points right here. 2021 is in the books right now. Unfortunately, Steelers go 1 and done under the Mike Tomlin once again for the 5th time in his career, which is a real sad ending to a good year they had. I don't want to dismiss this. I don't want to call this a wasted season, but it was definitely not a finishing product. Let's just put it that way. I think the last shining moment that stood out for the Steelers was hanging on to win the AFC North back in Week 16. I think that was their last shining star in this season right here. So, I mean, that's where we leave it at right now. And when you truly look at it here, I mean, it was definitely a big-time heartbreaker. I mean, look at a guy like Bill Cowher, in case everyone was wondering, he had 2 one-and-dones in his first 2 seasons as a Steelers playoff coach back in 1992 and 1993, losing to the Buffalo Bills at home in Pittsburgh in the divisional round at Three Rivers Stadium, then losing on the road to Joe Montana and the Chiefs with not only Joe Montana, but Marcus Allen to have for the running game, and had a legitimate Chiefs defense right there under head coach Mari Schottenheimer, which was Bill Cowher's former mentor right there. So he had 2 one-and-dones right there under Bill Cowher, as Mike Tomlin has 5. But Mike Tomlin, at the end of the day, please do not bury this guy. He is still a phenomenal coach. Do what he's done for his first 14 years in the league, a non-losing record. You got to tip your cap to the guy. Once again, that's going to do it for the edition here of the Mouse Steel Podcast. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey for the Mouse Steel Podcast on Twitter. It is at Mouse Steel CGR and at Mouse Steel Nation on Instagram. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.